disaster. I had I got one chapter into this new book and my whole stream froze. So I'm gonna read it again. Well, welcome to the new series because this will be the first time you hearing this introduction. It's not a new series. It's part of the Demonata, and it is Beck by Darren Chan. And I'm I'm too annoyed to do a new intro, so we're just gonna go into it. And it's chapter one, beginning. Screams in the dark. Mother pushes, and after a long fight, I slip out of her body onto a bed of blood-soaked grass. I cry from the shock of the cold air and take my first breath. Mother laughs weakly, picks me up, holds me tight, and feeds me. I drink hungrily, lips fastening to her breast, my tiny hands and feet shivering madly. Rain pelts us, washing blood from my wrinkled, warm skin. Once I'm clean, Mother shields me as best she can. She's weary, but she can't rest. Must move on. Kissing my forehead, she sighs and struggles to her feet, stumbles through the rain, tripping often and falling, but protecting me always. Banban never believed I could remember my birth. She said it was impossible, even for a powerful priestess or druid. She thought I was imagining it. But I wasn't. I remember it perfectly, like everything in my life. Coming into this world roughly, in the wilderness, my mother alone and exhausted, clinging to her as she pushed through the rain over unfamiliar land, singing to me, trying to keep me warm. My thoughts were a jumble. I experienced the world in bewildered fragments and flashes. Uh, but even in my newborn state of confusion, I could sense my mother's desperation. Her fear was infectious, and though I was too young to truly know terror, I felt it in my heart and trembled. After endless, pain-filled hours, she collapsed at the gate of a ringed wooden fort, the Rath, where I live now. She didn't have enough strength to call for help, so she lay there, in the water and mud, holding my head up, smiling at me while I scowled and burped. She kissed me one last time, then, clutching me to her breast, I drank greedily until the milk stopped. Then, still hungry, I wailed for more. In the damp, gloomy dawn, Gaul heard me and investigated. The old warrior found me struggling feebly, crying in the arms of my cold, stiff, lifeless mother. If you remember so much, you must remember what she called you, Bamba often teased me. Surely she named her little girl, but if she gave me a name, she never said it out loud. I don't know her name either, or why she died alone in such miserable distress, far from home. I can remember everything of my life, but I know nothing of hers, where I came from, who I really am. Those are mysteries I don't think I'll ever be able to solve. I often retreat into my early memories, seeking joy in the past, trying to forget the horrors of the present. I go right back there to my first day, Gaul carrying me into the Rath and joking he'd found a big rat, the debate over whether I should be left to die outside with my mother or accepted as one of the clan, Banba testing me, telling them I was a child of magic, that she'd rear me to be a priestess. Some of the men were against that, suspicious of me, but Banba said they'd bring down a curse on the Wrath if they drove me away. In the end, she got her way, like she usually did. Growing up in Banba's tiny hut, everyone else in the Wrath shares living quarters, but a priestess is always given a place of her own, lying on the warm grass floor, drinking goat's milk, which Bamba squeezed through a piece of cloth, staring at the world, which was sometimes light, sometimes dark, hearing the sounds when the big people moved their lips, but not sure what the noises meant, not understanding the words, crawling, then walking, growing in body and mind, learning more every day, fitting words together to talk, screeching happily when I got them right, realizing I had a name, Bec. It means little one. That's what called me when he first found me. I was proud of the name. It was the only thing I owned, something nobody could ever take from me. As I grew up, Bamba trained me, teaching me the ways of magic. I was a fast learner, since I could remember the words of every spell Bamba taught me. Of course, there's more to magic than spells. A priestess needs to be able to soak up the power of the world around her, to draw strength from the land, the wind, the animals and trees. I wasn't so good at that. I doubted I'd ever really make a strong priestess, but Bamba said I'd improve in time if I worked hard. I discovered early on I'd never fit in. The other children were wary of the priestess's apprentice. Their mothers warned them not to hurt me, in case I turned their eyes into runny pools or their teeth into tiny squares of mud. I was sad I couldn't be one of them. I asked Bamba where I came from, if there was a place I could go where I'd be more welcome. Priestesses are welcome nowhere, she answered plainly. Folk are pleased to have us, so they can call on us when their crops fail or a woman can't get round with child, but they never truly trust us. They don't take us into their confidence unless they have to. Better get used to it, little one. This is our life. The life wasn't so bad. There was always plenty of food for a priestess, from people eager to win her favour and avoid a nasty curse. And there was respect and gifts when I made spells work. People wondered how powerful I'd become and what I could do to make the wrath stronger. Banba often laughed about that. She said people were always either too suspicious or expected too much. A few treated me normally, like Gaul of the One Eye Chief of the Wrath, uh, or the Gaul of the One Eye, Chief of the Wrath once, now just an aging warrior. He didn't care that I was a stranger from no known background, studying to become a priestess. I was simply a little girl to him. He even spoilt me sometimes, since, in a way, he felt like my father, as he was the one who found and named me. He often played with me, put me up on his broad shoulders, and gave me rides around the Rath, grunting like a pig while others laughed or sneered. All the children loved Gaul. He was a fierce warrior who'd killed many men in battle, but he was still a child secretly, in his heart. Those were the best days, dreaming of the magic I'd work when I grew up, harvesting the crops, herding cattle and sheep. I wasn't supposed to do ordinary work, but if a child was lazy, I offered to help, and they'd usually let me. Some even became friends over time. They wouldn't admit it in front of their mothers or fathers, but when no one was looking, they'd talk to me and include me in their games, playing, working, learning the ways of magic. Good times, simple times, life going on the way it had since the world began, like it was meant to. And then the demons came. And this chapter's casualties, I'd mentioned it in my the first failed one, but we'll be doing two chapters uh, per session just because they're short. A boy's screams pierce the silence of the night, and the village explodes into life. Warriors are already racing towards him by the time I whirl from my watching point near the gate. Torches are flung into the darkness. I see Ninan, a year younger than me, new to the watch, a two-headed demon pierced together from bones and flesh of the dead, blood. Gaul is first on the scene, an old-style warrior. He fights naked, with only a small leather shield, a short sword, and axe. He hacks at the demon with his axe, buries it deep in one of the monster's heads. The demon screeches, but doesn't release Ninan. It lashes out at Gaul with a fleshless arm and knocks him back, then buries its teeth into its injured head, or buries its teeth of its uninjured head into Ninan's throat. The screams stop with a sickening, choking sound. Con and the three other warriors swarm past Gaul and attack the demon. It swings Ninan at them like a club and scythes two of them down. Con and another keep their feet. Con jabs one of the monster's eyes with his spear. The demon squeals like a banshee. The other warrior, Enna, slides in close, grabs the beast's head and twists, snapping its neck. If you break a human's neck, that person will almost surely die, but demons are made of sturdier stuff. Broken necks just annoy them. With one hand, the demon grabs the head, which Cole shattered with an axe, rips it off, and batters Ina with it. She doesn't let go, snaps its neck again in the opposite direction. It comes loose, and she drops it. She pulls a knife from a scabbard strapped to her back and drives it into the rotting bones of the skull. Making a hole, she wrenches the sides apart with her hands, digs in, and pulls out a fistful of brains. Grabs a torch and sets fire to the grey goo. The demon howls and grabs blindly for the burning brains. Con snatches the other head from his hand, or from its hand. He throws it to the ground, mashes it to a pulp with his axe. The demon shudders, then slumps. More, comes a call from the gate. It's late, later than demons usually attack. Most of the warriors on the main watch have retired for the night, replaced by children like me. Our eyes and ears are normally sharp, but this close to dawn, most of us are sleepy and sluggish. We've been caught off guard, the demons have snuck up, and they have the advantage. Bodies spill out of huts, hands grab spears, swords, axes, knives. Men and women race to the rampart. Most are naked, even those who normally fight in clothes. No time to get dressed. Demons pound on the gate and scale the banks of earth outside, tearing at the sharpened wooden poles of the fence, clambering over. The two-headed monster might have been a diversion sent to distract us, or else it just had a terrible sense of direction, as many corpse demons do. Warriors mount ladders or haul themselves up the rampart to tackle the demons. It's hard to tell how many monsters there are, definitely 5 or 6, and at least 2 are real demons. For Mori, Khan arrives at the gate, shouting orders. He bellows at those on watch who have strayed from their posts. Stay where you are. Call if clear. The trembling children return to their positions and peer into the darkness, waving torches over their heads. In turn, they yell, "Clear! Clear! Clear!" One starts to shout, "Click," then screams, "No, 3 of them over here." "With me," Gaul roars at Enna and the others who have fought the first demon. They held back from the battle at the gate in case a second attack like this. Gaul leads them against the trio of demons. I see fury in his face. He's not furious with the demons, but with himself. He made a mistake with the first one and let it knock him down. That won't happen again. As the warriors engage the demons, I move to the center of the wrath and wait. I don't normally get involved in fights. I'm too valuable to risk. If the demons break through the barricades, or if an especially powerful Formori comes up against us, that's when I go into action. To be honest, I doubt I could do much against the stronger Formori. Everybody in the Wrath knows that, but we pretend I'm a great priestess, mistress of all the magics. The lie comforts us and gives us a faint shadow of hope. The younger children of the Wrath cluster around me, watching their parents fight to the death against the foul legions of the other world. Their older brothers and sisters are at the foot of the rampart, passing up weapons to the adults, ready to dive into the breach if they fall. But these young ones won't be of much use. I hate standing with them. I'd rather be at the rampart, but duty comes at a price. Each of us does what we can do best. My wishes don't matter. The welfare of the Wrath and my people come first, always. One of the Fomori makes it over the fence, half human, half boar, a long jaw, a mix of human teeth and tusks, demonic yellow eyes, claws instead of hands. It bellows at the warriors who go up against it, then spits blood at them. The blood hits a woman in the face. She shrieks and topples back off the rampart. Her flesh is bubbling. The demon's blood is like fire. I race to the woman. It's Skuta. We share a hut sometimes. I'm passed around from hut to hut, now Bamba's gone. Her usually pale skin is an ugly red colour. Bubbles of flesh burst. The liquid sizzles. Skuta screams. I press my palm to her forehead, ignoring the heat of her flesh and the burning drops of liquid which strike my skin. I mutter the words of a calming spell. Skuta sighs and relaxes, eyes closing. I tug a small bag from my belt, open it, and pour coarse green grains into the palm of my left hand. Dropping the bag, I spit over the grains and mix them together, with a finger forming a paste. I rub the paste into Skuta's disfigured flesh, and it stops dissolving. She'll be horribly scarred, but she'll live. There are other pastes and lotions I can use to help the wounds heal cleanly, but not now. There are demons to kill first. I look up. The boar demon has been pierced in several places by the swords and knives of our warriors, but still it fights and spits. I wish I knew where these monsters got their unnatural strength from. Screams behind me. The children! A spider-shaped femori has crawled out of the hut over the south terrain. The beast must have found an exit hole outside the rath and made its way up the tunnel, then broke through the planks covering the entrance. Con hears the screams. He looks for warriors to send to their aid. Before he can roar orders, two brothers hurl themselves into the demon's path, Ronan and Lorcan, the Rath's red-headed twins, barely 16 years old. Their younger brother, Eric, was killed several months ago. The twins were always strong fighters, even as children, but since Eric fell, they've fought like men possessed. They love killing demons. Con refocuses on the demons at the gate. He doesn't bother sending other warriors to deal with the spider. He trusts the teenage twins. They might be the youngest warriors in the Wrath, but they're two of the fiercest. Ronan and Lorcan move in on the spider demon. Now that it's closer, I see, although it has the body of a large spider, it is a dog's face and tail. Demons are often a mix of animals. Used to say they stole the forms of our animals and ourselves because they didn't have the imagination to invent their own bodies. Ronan is the taller of the pair, with long, curly, flowing hair and two curved knives. Lorcan, who cuts his hair close and whose ears are pierced with a variety of rings, carries a sword and a small scythe. They're both skilled at fighting with either on the left or right hand. But before they can tackle the dog spider, it shoots hairs at them. The hairs run all the way up along its 8 legs and act like tiny arrows when flicked off sharply. The hairs strike the brothers and cause them to stop and cover their faces with their hands to protect their eyes. They hiss, partly from pain, but mostly from frustration. The Fomori moves forward, barking with evil delight. The twins are forced back, chopping blindly at it. I could call Con for assistance, but I want to handle this on my own. I won't place myself at risk, but I can help, leaving the warriors free to concentrate on the larger, more troublesome demons. I hurried to the beehives. We kept them outside the Wrath before the attacks began, but certain demons have a taste for honey, so we moved them in. The bees are at rest. I reach within the hive and grab a handful of bees, then prize them out, whispering words of magic so they don't sting me. Walking quickly, I place myself behind Ronan and Lorcan. Taking a firm stance, I thrust my hand out and whisper to the bees, again, a command this time. They come to life within my grasp. Move, I snap. Ronan and Lorcan glance back at me, surprised, then step aside. I open my fingers and the bees fly straight at the dog spider, attacking its eyes, stinging it blind. The Fomori whines and slaps at his eyes with its legs, losing interest in anything except for the stinging bees. Ronan and Lorcan step up, one on either side. 4 blades glint in the light of the torches, and 4 hairy legs go flying into the darkness. The demon collapses, half its legs gone, sight destroyed. Ronan steps on its head, takes aim, then buries a knife deep in its brain. The dog spider stiffens, whines one last time, and then dies. Ronan withdraws his knife and wipes it clean on his long hair. His natural red hair is stained an even darker shade of red from the blood of demons. Lorcan's stubble is blood-caked too. They never wash. Ronan looks at me and grins. Nice work. Then he runs with Lorcan to where Con and his companions are attempting to drive the demons back from the fence. I take stock. Gaul's section is secure. The demons are retreating. The boar-shaped Fomori has been pushed back over the fence. It's clinging to the poles, but its fellow demons aren't supporting it. When Ronan and Lorcan hit, blades turning the air hot, it screams shrilly and launches itself backwards, defeated. Conla, Con's son, fires a spear after the demon. He yells triumphantly. It must have been a hit. Conla picks up another spear, aims, then lowers it. They're retreating. We've survived. Before anyone has a chance to draw breath, there's a roar of rage and loss. It comes from near the back of the Wrath. Amargan, Ninyan's father, is cradling his dead boy in his arms. He had 5 children once. Ninan was the last. The others and his wife were all killed by demons. Con hurries across the rampart towards Amargan to offer words of comfort that he can. Before Con reaches him, Amargan leaps to his feet, eyes mad, and races for the chariot, which our prize warriors used when going to fight. It's been sitting idle for a year since the demon attacks began. Con sees what Amargan intends and leaps from the rampart, roaring, "No!" Amargan stops, draws his sword, and then points it at Con. "I'll kill anyone who tries to stop me." No bluff in the threat. Con knows he'll have to fight the crazed warrior to stop him. He sizes up the situation, then decides it's better to just let him go. He shakes his head and turns away, waves to those near the gate to open it. Amargan quickly hooks the chariot, a cart really nothing like the grand, golden chariots favoured by the champions in the legends, up to a horse. It's the last of our horses, a bony, exhausted excuse for an animal. He lashes the horse's hindquarters with the blunt face of his blade, and it takes off in a startled gallop, racing toward the gate. Amargan chases the demons and roars a challenge. I hear their excited snorts as they stop and turn to face him. The gate closes. A few of the people on the rampart watch silently, sadly, as Amargan fights the demons in the open. Most turn their faces away. Moments later, human screams. A man's. Terrible, but nothing new. I stay silent. I say a prayer for Amargan, then turn my attention to the wounded, hurrying to the rampart to see who needs help. The fighting's over. Time for healing. Time for magic. Time for Bec. And that's the end of the second chapter. Thank you for listening. I'll get this uploaded as soon as I can.